Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sydney Peace Prize Award Ceremony and Lecture for 2025. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay our deepest respects to elders past, present, and emerging. The Sydney Peace Foundation was founded in 1998 by Professor Stuart Rees to recognise the world's leaders for peace, with Australia's only international prize for peace. And as Nora said earlier, we are immensely proud to have gone independent this year, ushering in a new era for the Foundation and our collective impact. We're grateful for our patron, the Lord Mayor of Sydney, Clover Moore AO, for her unwavering commitment not just to the Foundation, but for human rights, peace and justice. Clover is a strong supporter of the LGBTQIA+ community and has been for decades. Clover lobbied for Ward 17, the first HIV/AIDS ward in Australia at St Vincent's Hospital in 1994. She has made the City of Sydney the first local government to become officially certified as carbon neutral and is a staunch defender of protest rights. I was proud to stand beside the Lord Mayor on the historic March for Humanity across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The City of Sydney is what it is today because of the Lord Mayor's tireless work for decades. Sydney Peace Prize laureates are some of the world's most effective change makers. They champion solutions to the world's most pressing problems and are the change and embody the change that we want to see in the world. Past laureates include Dr. Hanan Ashrawi, Vandana Shiva, Arundhati Roy, former Amnesty Secretary General Irene Khan, who is now the UN Special Rapporteur on the protection of freedom of information and expression. And as Nora said, last year's recipient was the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Society. As a member of the jury, we were compelled to honour the brave and heroic members of the Palestine Red Crescent. As Deputy Chair of the Sydney Peace Foundation and a member of the jury, I am delighted to recognise this year's recipient, Judge Navi Pillay. Judge Navi Pillay contributed to the legal defence against apartheid, served as a judge at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, is a former International Criminal Court judge, and was also formerly the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. She serves as an ad hoc judge at the International Court of Justice and just completed her term as the chair of the UN Independent Commission of Inquiry into the Occupied Palestinian Territory. Judge Pillay has a lifelong commitment and impact enabling justice for those that have had their human rights and dignity denied. For victims of war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide, including the 2 million Palestinian women, men and children in Gaza, who have endured relentless bombardment by Israel, an engineered famine at a scale, speed and severity that we have never witnessed before in history, and constant displacement. Justice will only be served when the perpetrators of these human rights violations are held to account. Those responsible for atrocities, war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide must be held to account and face trial, regardless of who they are. No one is above the law, and no war criminal should ever be allowed to walk free. International justice demands accountability for these crimes, prevents future atrocities, and provides a path for victims to seek justice and reparations. On the 7th of April in 1994, the call to kill got so loud on the radio it drowned out everything else. For 100 days in Rwanda, they experienced some of the worst human rights atrocities in human history. War crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide were perpetrated on a horrific scale, primarily against Tutsi civilians and moderate Hutus. Between 800,000 and 1 million people were massacred by Hutu extremists. Those that survive asked the UN to build a trust that had been lost through justice and to put the country that they remembered back together. The mandate was clear, the way forward was not. Hundreds of thousands of victims, tens of thousands in jail, but the courtrooms were empty, with rumours of only 5 judges and a handful of lawyers still left alive. From its first makeshift courtroom, the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda went to work on its formidable task. Its mission: to locate, apprehend, and prosecute the architects of this genocide. And over its 20-year period, the tribunal delivered judgments that defined for the first time how the world confronts genocide in a court of law. It was the first time since the Nuremberg and Tokyo trials that convicted a former head of government. The first to convict for rape as a tool of genocide. And the first to convict members of the media for inciting a genocide. Judge Pillay stated at the time, "These broadcasts shook the collective conscience of mankind." Today in Rwanda, it is safe to listen to the radio again. It is the sound of a nation rebuilding and healing. And this is the legacy of Judge Pillay, a legacy that laid the foundation for a new era in criminal justice. The Rome Statute establishing the International Criminal Court came into force on the 1st of July in 2002 as a court of last resort. Since then, the ICC has heard 33 cases, issued 61 arrest warrants, and 38 cases are continuing. I'm proud that the Amnesty movement galvanized the public support to help establish the ICC. And as we stand here today, the former Philippines president, Rodrigo Duterte, was arrested and brought before the ICC, the very institution he once mocked for his war crimes in killing 12,000 people in his so-called war on drugs. Arrest warrants have been issued for Taliban leaders as they enforce a brutal system of gender apartheid. Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant are wanted by the ICC for war crimes and crimes against humanity in their relentless genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. And the International Court of Justice continues its adjudication in South Africa's case against Israel. International law is humanity's last line of defense. We must advance justice for victims and survivors of human rights abuses, including the people of the occupied Palestinian territory, in Sudan, Yemen, Congo, the Ukraine, and anywhere injustice occurs. The history of international justice shows that even the most defiant and powerful leaders can be brought before the law. From Ali Mohammed Ali Abdulrahman for his crimes in Darfur, Ratko Mladic for his crimes in Sarajevo and Srebrenica, Bosco Ntaganda for his crimes in Darfur, and now Duterte for his crimes in the Philippines. Netanyahu, Gallant, the Taliban leaders will face accountability. But in order for that to happen, it will take all of us to defend it for everyone, everywhere, for the sake of humanity.